Julie, thank you so much for coming in the studio. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I appreciate your time. All right, so let's get right to it. You've got a blog piece today. One of the things that we have seen in the culture of alarmism is the labeling, not just of things with chemicals that might cause cancer or something like that, but we're applying these labels like addictive substances to things that aren't really addictive, right? Sugar is like crack. If you listen to some of the big nanniers out there.
Yeah. You hear it a lot now, sugar is as addictive as cocaine, or, it's toxic, that people just have no control over themselves when it comes to sugar. And it's just not true. It's absolutely, it's not an addictive substance. And frankly, it's kind of insulting to people who struggle with real drug addictions to suggest that you have some sort of like crazy addiction to sugar and substances and foods that contain sugar. James Fell, he's a fantastic fitness and health and diet blogger. He runs a site called Body for Wife, which is kind of an interesting, you should check out why he calls it Body for Wife. It's a really sweet story. But he's a blogger, and he wrote this piece that I cited in the blog post that I wrote, where he talks about people aren't knocking over convenience stores and stealing their grandmother's jewelry so that they can get some sort of sugar fix. There are addictive, personality disorders, and there are addictive qualities about food. People can be addicted to food, and they can have some very bad eating habits, binge eating, overeating, and also, there's a number of other problems with not eating. And he talks about those being the real issues, and yet you have a lot of food nannies and activists who are, anti-soda and anti-sugar, who like to put the addiction sort of label on sugar so that people will think, we see this excuse all the time. Look, this stuff is going to harm you, so we need more government regulations, or we need sin taxes because you're an idiot and you can't, control yourself. But he also talks about in his blog post how, it's a bad message to send to people to say that sugar is addictive. In a way, sends the message that you have no control. You'll never be able to lose weight. You'll never be able to control yourself or stop eating these bad things because it's addictive. And again, it's beyond your control. That's a bad message to send to people. They can control themselves. They can learn moderation and learn better eating habits. And it's really, I think, especially when it comes to weight loss, important not to sort of, discourage people from practicing a little self-control.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, you're right. We don't hear. I mean, look, I cover crime stories every day on this program. I have yet to see the excuse given for robbing a convenience store of, this is what I would do for a Klondike bar.
I just needed a Twizzler.
I would actually hold up this convenience store,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. I just really needed a big gulp.
I haven't seen that happen.
Right.
And they're shaking and they're twitching. You just don't see that. But here's the thing, you get back to controlling this behavior, and this is where I think we can broaden this out even far beyond sugar, right? I mean, you take a look at, I don't know, firearms, for instance. Let's just throw that out there as a what if, just as a random hypothetical.
What show am I on?
Again, we have people. That's right. It's NRA News Cam and Company. Anyway, so we have this same attitude on display here of, look, we have to get rid of sugar because people can't control themselves. And even if you can control yourself, not everybody is you, right? And there are going to be people who are not going to be able to handle the responsibility of getting a big gulp or even a self-serve soda.
Yeah.
We have that same mentality, right? Look, sure, 97% of gun owners are law-abiding gun owners, but because of that number of criminals, because of the people who will misuse firearms, that's why we have to ban guns. That's why we have to restrict magazine sizes. That's why we have to make it a something that you get permission to do rather than a right that you have.
Right, or keep it away from children and make them spooky to children and not teach children proper firearm firearm use. I mean, this is the kind of narrative you get. You get the same thing with sodas. Oh, they're terrible for children. We should have an age limit for children to get a big gulf. It's the same thing we see on the gun issue. Children shouldn't have any, they shouldn't touch them. They should be away from them all the time. Instead of actually teaching children how to use a gun and the proper use of the gun, parents are being encouraged to really teach children that, they're scary things never to be touched or seen. It's kind of the same argument.
Well, which is interesting because in the real world, what we're seeing here is that youth shooting sports, for instance, fastest growing high school sport out there, right? We were talking with somebody from the Scholastic shooting sports program earlier this week, and just, phenomenal growth in these shooting sports because you do have parents who say, listen, I want my kids to be knowledgeable about firearms, and I see the benefits that they get from taking part in the 4-H shooting sports program or their junior league or the Scholastic Clay Target program. By that same token, then maybe what we need to be doing rather than freaking our kids out and saying, don't drink the soda, don't ever touch sugar, is actually, teaching our kids about healthy eating, which, by the way, can include a cookie every now and then, can include a soda every now and then.
Yeah, I totally agree. My children do get treats now and then. They get Slurpees and ice cream cones and, things that would make Michael Bloomberg, quiver all over. And I teach them that there are appropriate times for these things. And but generally we eat, pretty much the same healthy stuff all the time. And it's punctuated. Our diets are punctuated with these moments of having treats. I don't demonize anything to them. I don't tell them anything is off limits, except Chipotle, because I think that company engages in alarmism. So fine, that's the one standard I have. But I do think that that's the way to ensure that your children develop healthy eating habits. And the same thing with guns. I want my children, knowledge is power. Knowledge when it comes to guns is safety. Teaching them how to properly use a gun and how to recognize, when the appropriate time to touch a gun is. That to me is going to make my children safe, a lot safer than teaching, than scaring them or giving them no knowledge of weapons.
Yeah, but again, you, Julie, I think are trying to raise your kids that they're prepared to live as adults in the real world, right? As opposed to, I think this the nanny mentality. We can call it the helicopter parenting, whatever you want to call it, but this mentality that the most important thing that we can do is to protect our children.
Yeah.
Now, look, as a dad, hell yeah, I believe in protecting my kids, but there's also the matter of educating my kids. And you can protect your kids. When you're protecting your kids from knowledge and the opportunity to acquire wisdom, you're not actually protecting your kids. You're hurting them. You're harming them because you're setting them up to fail as an adult, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I also want my kids to leave. I would like them to get jobs. I would like them to.
I love the fact that your kids are not even teenagers yet.
I know.
Like,
I know. I'm already ready for it.
Go.
Yeah. I would like them to go to college. I would like them to, or get a trade, and then buy a house, get married. I want them to go and live a productive life. And I think that I can hurry that process along if I teach them critical thinking skills and when it's appropriate to take a risk and some good judgment skills. I want them to not rely on me to make basic decisions. And the way that I'm expediting that is teaching them at a young age. These basic life skills, and not coddling them and wrapping them in cotton and protecting them from every danger. I'm at the playground every day after school. I pick them up. And then we go to the playground. And sometimes the kids will come up to me and complain, oh, someone's being mean to me, or someone's doing this, or someone's doing that. And by and large, I tell them to handle it on their own. Unless it's something very serious. But, I think that's important. I think that they need to sort of, navigate this world, even at an early age. I think they need to figure things out for themselves. And again, that ultimately serves me because then they'll go out and live their own lives and leave me alone. I love my kids.
Listen,
I do, really.
I know you do. I know you do, which is why I can jokingly say that if within the next couple of years, when we have you on the show in a week, and I ask you how your kids are, and you say, "Oh,
I don't
they're in
know.
a new internship program in Sri Lanka, learning how to make shoes," they should be back in
You'll
6
get-
months
yes,
or so.
yes.
I will know.
It's a learning
You just-
experience.
Okay, you're just sending them. You got to get out of the nest sometime, kids.
That's right. 10 years
Sometimes
old,
it's
it's
before
time.
puberty. Who knows? It's just shoo. Well, listen, Julie, I do appreciate you coming on the program. I got to ask you before we let you go. You had your event last week, and I'm so sorry that I could not make it up for this
It's
because
okay.
it sounded like it was going to be amazing. But this was an event. It was not just all about Julie, although we do need to have one of those events.
I
I
agree.
think. This was right. That's what it should be called. All about Julie. But anyway,
Yes.
it was you. It was the Science Babe. It was several women who are exposing this culture of alarmism.
Yeah.
Who were speaking. How did everything go?
It went great. We had Coven Synapathy, Tara Haley, the Sci Babe, and a number of other women. I was definitely the dumbest person in that room. My God, these women, the degrees and the studying that they've done and the science background, truly, truly impressive. And again, what's so interesting about this is we are all over the map politically. Some are libertarian, many are quite liberal. And so we probably don't agree on labor policy or taxation or regulations, but we do agree on this very narrow area, which is women are being unnecessarily frightened. And it's absolutely shameful what a lot of these environmental groups are doing to scare women into believing that there's all these harmful substances and things out there. So it was great, and I was really thrilled to sort of promote these women and find this area that we agree on.
Well, listen, keep doing what you're doing, Julie. We always appreciate you coming on the program, and look forward to having you back on again very soon.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Julie Gunlock, you can find her at the Independent Women's Forum. It's iwf.org. And we'll be talking with Julie again very soon here on NRA News Cam and Company.